suppose the most important thing is that people feel there was something there for them and that it was relevant. There's nothing worse than saying, well, there's nothing new there. We spoke about that last year. I came with a problem. No one could resolve it. So I suppose that would be my key. If people could leave feeling that they had learnt something, benefited from it, and like I say, and had fun.
Hello and welcome to the Retail Podcast. Hopefully you'll be watching this on the weekend before the Retail Technology Show. And we're joined by Matt Bradley, founder and director of the Retail Technology Show. So this has been your baby for how many years?
I launched a retail show in this space in 2011. That was under the guise of the name RBTE, which is the Retail Business Technology Expo. He ran that initially in Earls Court. So that does know how long ago this was, before Earls Court was sadly knocked down and replaced with houses. So we launched it as that. I then sold that business to another exhibition company where we rebranded the show and called it the Retail Expo. And we added some design elements and some digital signage elements into that before COVID happened. And we had to make some sort of pretty difficult decisions around what events as that multi-large business would run. And sadly, retail wasn't one of the ones on their agenda. So they just put a red line through us, really, and we had to make a decision of what we were going to do next. And, I then took a phone call from Peter Jones, who was not the Dragon, someone completely different, but he ran a company called 19 and said, look, we think this is a really good idea and we'd love you to come and try and bring this back and launch this with us. So we obviously had to come up with a new name as RX still owned the IP on that Retail Expo. Yeah. And Retail Technology Show was born, I think 2022 was the first one, could be 23. So yes, and it's just gone from strength to strength, really. It was the big reunion, and to be perfectly honest, it would have been really difficult to not be successful in that first year because we'd all been locked up for God knows how long. Obviously, retail was going through fundamental changes at that time as well. And people just wanted to be back in front of each other. So we've always had a good feeling about year one, but the challenge always comes in being better than you were the previous year. So we are now, I think, into our fourth year, and that graph is still going upwards. So I'm still very pleased.
Well, I mean, most incredible element is the location of this show. You've gone for Excel, right?
Yeah, so and that's obviously been a very difficult decision. We've been, as I say, initially we were in Earls Court. We moved to Olympia in 2014, I think, and we've been in Olympia ever since. So leaving Olympia was never going to be an easy decision. It's something that I've wrestled with for quite a few years now as the show has grown and grown and grown, and it really has just got to the point where we can't fit in there anymore.
Yeah.
And we needed Excel to do a lot of work in order for us to feel comfortable about putting a show in there. They need to improve a lot of the transport links that led people to there. And now since the Elizabeth line's gone in and it's sort of 10 minutes from Tottenham Court Road, I felt a lot more confident that it was the right place. And it just sort of, the planets aligned and there we are.
How does that look for numbers? Because is it like in my mind, like when I visualize it, it's almost double, right? Or not? In terms of the Excel space that you have compared to what you had. Because I think I was just saying you off camera. I went to that first show, and what really blew my mind was I was sat in one of the talks going, "This is a free show, right?" And I'm getting some fantastic content that's not, just exhibitor-led content. It was like, I think there was Sainsbury's and somebody else chatting at the time, and the room was packed, but it was free. I'm just curious, like, how are the numbers? What are the numbers?
Well, so, I mean, it's quite daunting, actually. I made a big mistake of doing a venue visit a few weeks ago and looked at the entire, because we've actually, since we finished the show last year, we've actually taken additional space throughout the year at Excel. We've had to keep negotiating to say, look, we need some more. So, and I haven't really seen what that venue looks like empty until a couple of weeks ago, because there's always sort of shows and happenings and going on in Excel. They said, no, we've got a break, actually. You can come down and see exactly the space you've got. And it's big. Very, very big. And the difference between Olympia and Excel is Olympia, we had 2 different halls. So you could never really see from one end all the way down to the other. Yeah, like if you go to NRF at the Javits and you go to upstairs, you can stand at one end and almost look entirely down. And you can do that now at XL, and it's a long way down. It's and you're right. It is a different model to what you'll find in Europe, where we actually don't allow vendors on stage unless they're accompanied by a retailer. And normally it'd be the vendor interviewing the retailer rather than a vendor, because you don't want to put any sort of false pretenses around it. We are encouraging retailers to attend this show because they're going to learn from peers and learn from people within their sector and in their industry, and you don't want to hoodwink them into the show and then be sort of into a theatre, and then this PowerPoint starts and a sales pitch begins, because you lose your audience very quickly. And I have found that this sector has been very loyal to me in that I've come back in various guises, and we've launched shows again after the pandemic. And you want to return that loyalty by ensuring that the promises that we've made we stick to. So yeah, it's a slightly different business model in that we have I think personally, and of course I'm biased, I think it's up there with any paid for conference program. I think we can put ourselves next to any paid for conference program out there and sit quite comfortably at that table.
Yeah, I can't say that I've been every year, but for the first year that I went, the content was really for a free, and I have to keep stressing, a free event. Good news is, from talking to retailers who've been on the show, that the industry wants a good show to go to. And one of the interesting things for me is your rebrand about making this an event. So there's two things that will, in terms of going forward. I'm curious about your philosophy about more entertainment. So I can see like the Carnival theme has come in this year for the first time, which is welcomed. A drab, dreary British day, and the worst thing I could think of, going into a miserable grey conference. But you've really gone for this vibrant, colourful. I think. Tell me what the thinking behind that was.
Well, and it's great that that's been picked up and noticed, because that definitely is the intention. I think I totally agree with you, and I've spent about 15 years running retail shows, but I've also spent around 25 years in the exhibition industry, and it can be draining. I've done several shows that I've attended in all sorts of areas of the world that can be absolutely mind-numbingly boring. And the thought of rows and rows of cheap yellow, red carpet or blue carpet, and multiple amounts of shell schemes, and just sore feet at the end of the day in this soulless hole of a venue. I can't think of anything worse. And I'm really lucky that we work in an industry that engages with fun, that engages with excitement, engages with experiences. So it was always my ambition to make sure that this show became more of a destination, and that it isn't you're not dragging your team there. People want to go there, and that's what you want. It's a really, really vibrant, fun sector, and I think as a show, and if we sit as part of that community, we need to represent that. So the ideas of always, we try and come up with something different every year. I think that year one was very easy. It was the big reunion. Yeah. Year two, we went sort of this golden ticket, Willy Wonka style theme. Oh yeah. It was all around magic and the magic of the retail tech show, and there was magicians and there was cards and there was all sorts going around. And obviously this year, new venue, and I'm not daft. I hear people saying, XL is a bit soulless, and you know what? Most exhibition venues are. Just these sort of massive buildings. So, I want people to leave saying I got value and that was a fun day, and that for me is job done.
So we can't obviously talk about the show without talking about what did you do to get these people to come to the show. I mean, that's a pretty hot A-list.
Yeah, and we've just announced Joe Wicks as well, who obviously the body coach, social media entrepreneur. So he's going to be there as well.
So what's he doing? Sorry, because obviously you've got, these are speakers. I saw the joke. What's Joe going to be like?
I don't think he's going to do any exercise. He's not going to. People don't have to need to bring in their trainers or anything like that.
Well, he just reminded me of COVID. Obviously, I'm not in the UK, so I don't want to be disrespectful to if he's moved on, but that was for me where I learn about the guy.
There is, a lot of people get PTSD when they think about what I think that all he's done is he found his niche in a very difficult time, and obviously got huge amounts of success from him. So I think he's got a lot to say around social media, building out content, and the importance around that. So that's, I think,
he's doing a keynote for you.
Yeah. So that's the thing. We've got so many good speakers. It's really hard to say what's the keynote.
Look, I'll scroll through them. Yeah, I think that on this. No, they've only put. Sorry, it's not the agenda. I know. I was looking at the agenda.
Well, I can pick out my favourites that I'm looking forward to. Yeah, I think. Archie. I'm a massive M&S fan. I'm a huge M&S fan. I think their resurgence in the world in the industry has been really, really exciting to watch. So I'm really keen to hear what Archie's thoughts about that are. I think Archie Norman, chairman of M&S, I think will have a lot to say around that. The Gymshark story is quite incredible. Steve Hewitt there, who was former CEO from the beginning. So he really saw it at the start of that, and saw it rise from something like 4 million to 4 billion or something like that in 6 years. So just the insight he's going to be able to share with us is really, really good. And there are Stuart Trevor, who was the founder of All Saints. He's really on this big sustainability thing. He's got some incredible stories, and someone really, really worth listening to. Google, Sophie Neary is going to be there. We've spoken off camera about there's two sides of the retail industry right now, which is challenges, and there are a lot of challenges out there. The economy is obviously really, really difficult with the rise in national insurance and things like that. So a lot of retailers are sort of feeling the pinch there and not showing what the next steps are. Richard Lim, CEO of Retail Economics, he's going to be there on stage. He's going to be able to talk through what the economy means and the impact it's going to have to retail. So there's some really important nuggets from him. Obviously, then we talk about some of the really incredible opportunities that are out there as well. And we know that AI is obviously everywhere. So lots and lots of people are going to be talking about that with real time. This is what we've installed and this is the difference we've seen. So it's not going to be, there'll obviously be some blue sky because that's what we love about retail, isn't it? We always think about what could be. But there's also going to be a lot of practical, this is what we're doing and this is a difference we've seen.
You mentioned like your favorites in terms of the speakers. I know this is it's like, multiple children. You can't choose which one is your favorite child. But what for you out of the things that really over the sort of a couple of days of the show, what are the standout moments for you that, I don't know, something that over the last 12 months you came across that you thought, wow, this is...
Well, do you know what? And I think there's something very special about obviously one, but there's something very special about the big party at the end of day one, because there is this real this feeling of united, of being part of this community. And, there is...
Sorry to interrupt you. Is everyone invited to that, or is that for retailers only?
Everyone is invited to that.
And that's in the venue itself?
Yeah. So as part of our retail Carnival Wonderland, from 4:30 till 6 on the first day is complete. There'll be entertainment, there'll be prizes, there'll be free drinks. And it's just a really great couple of hours where everyone just lets their hair down. And you just see these conversations going on between competitive retailers, which I find really, really fascinating. So that's obviously a very special moment. And just seeing the engagement from people, that's why we do this. That's why we're putting this together, is trying to get people to engage with each other. And so when you can see that happening, you know that you're doing something right.
I got you. That's fantastic. If you put yourself in the mind of a retailer who's obviously got the sore feet, has been walking around the show, they're on the train going back to wherever what do you want them to take away from the show? What's the one thing you would, what's that one thing you'd like them to take away?
I mean, and it's, I suppose, just learnings, because obviously a lot of these retailers are on very different journeys and different stages of those journeys. So whereas some might be, and they all come with their own issues as well. So some might have issues around payment, some might have their issues around supply chain. Some might have their issues around, can they use AI or economy or some of the stuff we've spoken about. I suppose the most important thing is that people feel there was something there for them and that it was relevant. There's nothing worse than saying, well, there's nothing new there. We spoke about that last year. I came with a problem. No one could resolve it. So I suppose that would be my key. If people could leave feeling that they had learned something, benefited from it, made a new connection that might help build their business going forward. All those little things would be, and like I say, and had fun.
Oh, fantastic. Well, listen, I want to be super respectful to your time, Matt. Thank you. I know this was all incredibly last minute. The show's in 2 weeks' time, but we're hoping to get it out next week. So with that, Matt, thank you so much for being on the show.
It's a pleasure. Alex, thank you very much.